How's it going, fellow traders? It's Magic Trader here, and this is the CFTC report for June 14, 2019. These are the positions that were recorded as of that date by the institutions. And so let's take a look at what we have here with gold. Alright, so we have the second drive up from the weekly ascending trend line. And what we can see is that the institutions increased their long positions even more. Okay, we were back at 194,000 up to 240 and now to 250,000 positions. You can see shorts being closed off quite dramatically from the 114 down to 107, down to 84,000, and now down to 65,000. So it's pretty clear that they are responsible for the big increase in price here. Okay, and if you take a look at long exposure, it jumps up to 79%, thus putting the sentiment into bullish territory. So net positions is positive 184,000, and so we have this last barrier right here, monthly, weekly supply. Once this goes, it will open up the pathway for a larger move to the upside. So that may take place considering that we have higher time frame forces from down here pushing upwards. It's likely that that's going to take place, okay? But the odds of that happening become a lot greater once this area gets removed first. Okay, so we're watching for that to see if that is indeed what's going to take place. It looks like they don't want to drop it. There's been a lot of ranging, no structure on the monthly chart, so it's possible that they just take it up from where they are right now. And now let's take a look at oil. We see oil closing more longs from 538 to 515,000, and then we see an increase. First time we see shorts getting aggressive for quite some time, and that's after this big drop. Big profit taking on longs, which is what we've been expecting, and that's what's been taking place. And now we see them during consolidation adding to their short positions. So it's likely we see a push up before a bigger drop like that. So let's take a look at the US dollar. We have the dollar longs closing out and also on some shorts. Bottom line is they used to be quite aggressive with their overall exposure, but that has since declined, and we see a slight decline in long exposure from 75% to 74%. Price dropped, reacting from the ascending weekly trend line, and now we're seeing price back up. Difficult to say where it's going to go from here because we have supply that just came into contact, we had demand, we have the ascending trend line, so price is kind of stuck in a range here. We need one of these two to break before we have the momentum kick back in on this chart. Now we have the Aussie weakness, boom, like this. We've been expecting weakness ever since the monthly force has come into play, and we see right now they are very aggressive with their shorts, a little bit of profit taking with this push upwards, and then they reversed it and started driving it back down. Short exposure increases from 73 to 75%. That's mainly due to the big decrease in long positions. So closing off long positions with the drive up, and then they reverse it right back down. Continued pressure to the downside is what we are expecting. US CAD, what do we see here? We see longs increase from 57,000 to 58, and we also see an increase in shorts from 15 to 25 as price was dropping like this. Again, it dropped into an ascending weekly trend line, reacted right back up, and now we're basically again ranging just like the dollar. We have a higher time frame force pushing down, higher time frame forces pushing upwards, so we're stuck in a range. Need one of these areas to break before the momentum kicks back in. But this big increase in shorts actually has caused long exposure to drop from 79% to 70, bringing sentiment into neutral territory. Important to recognize that. Now we go over to the US Swiss franc, and we see a big decrease in longs from 40,000 to 29,000, and a slight decrease in shorts that causes long exposure to drop from 90 to 87%, and net positions from 36,000 on the positive side to a positive 24,000. So a big shift down in long positions, which is a good sign because we've been extremely bullish for quite some time. Whether it's going to continue or not is difficult to say. Price caused momentum to shift here, but we have the ascending trend line on the monthly still holding price up. And now we go to the euro. Euro, slight decrease in longs, slight decrease in shorts, slight decrease in overall exposure. This sits the same, long exposure, and slight decrease in net positions. Big rally up, hits the trend line, pushing down. So it's basically what we're seeing on the dollar. Again, we're stuck in a range. There is no structure on the monthly chart. We only have the descending weekly structure that's holding, but a lot of range bound trading here. So need one of these two to break. Either break to the downside through the range and start heading towards the demand, or a bigger break and then a push upwards, but that's not taking place. So we're waiting to see what takes place. Pound dollar, increase in shorts, and then they decreased it with this drive upwards, and longs becoming cooled off. Bearish territory now, the sentiment, and we're still net short, expecting price to eventually go even lower with the higher time frame forces pushing downwards on price. So far everything's looking pretty good with that. US dollar, Japanese yen created some supply here, dropped, consolidated, and we see longs closing out and shorts closing out. Net effect is long exposure increases from 72% to 76%, and then a slight increase in net positions from 44 to positive 45,000, expecting price to continue lower as time plays out. And last we have the Kiwi dollar, and we see not much has happened with longs, some closure of short positions with this rally up, and long exposure increases 2 points. So a slight decline in short exposure, slight decline in net positions, but we are expecting price to move lower, and this past week we saw just that. And that pretty much wraps it up for the CFTC report. Once again, these were the positions held by the institutions as of that date. If you have any questions, want to learn a little bit more on how we do this analysis, you can visit us at www.whiteoakfx.com. Thanks, and have a good one.